Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
N'abaana bange tebagiyingiramu, teri mukazi agiyingiramu, ngibeera mu bwomu, naye ate nze banzikiriza olw'ekitiibwa kyange mulimu entebe era erimu emu. Ono abadde aga nti nyinza okusabako naawe, kanisa yange ngibeera mu bwomu, kanisa temuli mukadde wa kanisa. Sente zabo waliwo yazibba ne musanga nga bamukwatiddemu yange terimu bakadde bakanisa. Namugamba bulire, there are things that are not explainable. You can put beer there, a calabash, and you look there and you find an empty calabash.
Mukanisa
nkubulira
mukanisa yo
mukanisa oyinza okuteekamu ekita ky'omwenge oba ekita ky'amazzi n'olookingawo n'osanga nga teguliikinze tegukoze kintu. Kyolaba bano be bagamba bano mbu tuyireko ne bajjajja, it could be
ani agunywedde
an empty thing. So ikanisa
watamira ebintu
kanisa yange toyinze teri muntu asobola kunzija ku kanisa ne ewaka njiri mu bwomu kati kyembuuza bwe ndifani agenda okugisigalamu kuba abaana bagitya bonna
njiri ogamba nti ogiyingiramu bwomu
njiri mu bwomu
kati yingizaayo omwana omulagiri yingizaayo omwana omulagiri ebintu
bali bakambwe bajja kufuna womo owefujjo bamukuba ebiku agirabire bali bakaike ekiti kinuma namu bajja kukwatayo omwayi n'effujjo bamukube bamuteekawo bamulemaze
gwenga tebakulemaza.
Nze bandonda ndi muto. I spoke when I was 6 months. Yes. I'm making a miracle. I was not supposed to work. My mother went to a shrine once. Mukaga. I
Tamale Mirundi alisirikako.
Wali wakubya abantu bano. This has been an interesting group. Originally yalimu abantu nga 9. Today bunamba kubye nemba malamu
kwogera
no
anti checho
anti go wakulo lutalo kunze nze Yesu siri alwana intalo nze bonumba ngamba kuwa munange
kwogera ko wayogera bwe emyezi mukaaga
era waliwo omusajja yo
kukulidde
mukwano gwange muweereza message ne muganti wanise nti mpanise nti naye anti olina okuleeta endiga y'endali ng'erina amatwana ng'erina amagulu 3 ate ga bitege ennume ng'ennume ate era gyeri endiga y'endali ng'erina amatwana ng'erina amagulu 3 ga bitege
ayina amagulu 3 ga bitege ndiruddawa
ng'erina nabino ebigenderako bina
ebiriwa
gamba njikuleete
ebigenderako byebiki
ebyemabega anti nnume twini wanu tabu
kakati olwo alete eddiga olyokomusonyiwe okole ku nsonga
ze barumba nze
ekanisa bwete bwe yagambye ekanisa
fe tuzirina soma akataba akakamba
nina ekibuzo kyagala okubuuza waliwo twabadde ku Dr. Besigye watunuulidde n'ogamba nti kino ekiseera si kya campaign
no
bafunders
tebasobola muwasenda even Ugandans cannot allow you because Besigye did not stand as a presidential candidate abanjaki
kakati Besige zino pressure group zebakola chobola bakijje mu kibuga ky'obufuzi zino pressure group zebakola siza campaign
anti akola ngani
siza byabo siza bajja musiba watulira siza kisera kya byabufuzi wenga miranti basobola omufana kubanga ndabi amawanga gebwe agafaninze pressure group nezikola za praise
anti kankubulire
nezikola nezitataganya government
let me tell you
era ndoza kigende
tasobola anti kubulire Bobby Wine, we have a recognized opposition leader. If Besigye was a kumuli gundi amuli yati yaligambye nti manja talina kyabanja Besigye tayagalanga ku mukyala n'olwekyo tebamuggyako musayi gwa DNA
etegeza bino amuli yati yandibadde abikola
amuli yati uduka Besigye disqualified himself. This is why I'm telling you that Besigye is an agent of security. Why? Security has always been treating him with soft gloves. Besigye, Bobby Wine survived the bullet narrowly in Kayunga. Where? Ulira ekyo babalimba. Haji Nasa Sebagala, his vehicle was subjected by rifle bullets from security. Besigye has never suffered this. Besigye, the issue we're talking about, this young man is a son of Victor Bwana. Victor Bwana, abana ba Victor Bwana was an RDC yafira mu accident. Victor Bwana abana abo yabalekera Besigye. Besigye Museveni yali agenda Nairobi. I had already arrived in Nairobi. Museveni had been invited to address the executives of business in Nairobi. A very big group, a respectable group. In fact, Raila Odinga had left. He had to come to Nairobi. Kakati Besigye anonya excuse. Besigye naganti bamugiza amaso. Besigye went to Nairobi to undermine Museveni's meeting. Ulira oli omwana yakuba mwana we. Era the moment omwana abadde pastor mu police, the moment they realized it was the son of Besigye, Besigye ye taata waabwe omuto. Omwana bamusiba mu kkomera nti akutta omukazi.
Kyogamba nti byali bitegeke. Besigye
stage managed. Twatuuka mu Nairobi nga bawafula TV zonna mu Nairobi ziriko Museveni kwisha. I was with the president. President bajja okwadressing a meeting. Ekisejje ne kiyimirira. Your Excellency, do you believe that you have the moral authority to address this August conference when one of your opposition leaders came to Nairobi as a blind man? Bakifulumya. Ate Museveni ye yagamba, if he wants to know about Uganda, when Museveni humbles himself, allow him to stay. No, toka. Ekisajja kira ne kiyimirira. Mr. President, will you have time to visit Kizza Besigye? Museveni abagamba, we have hospitals in Uganda. If he decided to come to Kenya, why do I can't visit him? Because basically you're playing games to undermine Museveni's conference. Have you ever seen basically going back to Nairobi for medical checkup? How? How can a patient not go back for medical checkup? Besigye harbors personal vendetta against Museveni. And me I can tell you, Besigye mbabazi nono mwana nize niwunya abantu abamu bayingira mu ebiwuka mu mutwe. Where do you find Yemuko succeeding his father-in-law unless you are insane? Where? I've read widely. I have not heard. Nkukubira akatambi. Nkukubira even contemplating it. Bakugamba nti omukazi ne bw'omutulira ne mugomba oba omwezeeko mu mwoyo. Why do you have to explain that I'm not interested? Who told you that you are interested? But to think that I have not read precedents happen, but I have not come across a country where a son-in-law succeeds a father-in-law.
Musayo ba mu politics.
Mu byobufuzi nakirabayo mweso.
Katugende katabo.
Era abo bonna abesimbye ku Museveni ne bagenda. Museveni cannot accept kubanga nkugamba which are the catchment areas. Catchment areas for success. Museveni esaji na mungalo. He will choose a success or support a success. Lwaki Uhuru tayagala good Ruto. Lwaki Obasanjo yalemesa good. The experience. Former retired presidents have faced the wrath of their successors. Museveni is the last one. Ekyo katonda mu divisions. Teri agenda tajja kuwa muntu yenna. And the return of Mbabazi means that the government is stable. Tiyali komyewo. Yagenda bakigenda kugwa.
Kati tajja kukiriza muntu yenna bwana mu agula.
Kandi kubolidde tulina two scenarios. Museveni ayina amaanyi ge. What is reforming the parliament? Na reforming the army? What is creating trouble in the police and the corruption service delivery? The moment Museveni improves on service delivery, but now Uganda goes and Tivagala Kubera government. How many now? Me have been for 8 years. I have not been in the government. Baga to suffocate Mimbwaji. He admitted. Yakirizant you Musajja siwa sente wa integrity.
Kali.
Yes.
Akatabo compare ogambye from
na politikiting anti Mbabazi tasobola kusucceeding
mukatabo mu
never shiye nkugamba anunyambo mutegeke enkoni bbiri working places. If you want to address a press conference, let him address a press conference in his house. But the moment he repeats that the other time of invading in marketplaces to take enkoni bbiri enkoni, yes, every working place.
From Crown Prince to Commoner, how Museveni defeats.
Best and the group should go through Bobby Wine. Your opposition leader, your boss wow. But will because another singer.
Akatabo kano kawandiikibwa teka wano kawandiikibwa Tamale Mirundi Bushisha Rutera Bashuma. Bashisha Rutera Bashuma, Tamale Mirundi. Why Mbabazi ntandikiddewo cover? Why Mbabazi's presidential bid failed? A critical look at analysis of Amama Mbabazi's presidential bid reveals that his handlers, who included his wife and sister-in-law, Hope Mwesige, and daughter Nina Mbabazi, overlooked several factors. When you track all Dr. Besige's earlier strategies, his wife Winnie Byanyima played a crucial role, and this was mainly due to her character. For example, Winnie did not suffer from a credibility problem. Her name had not featured in any corruption scandal that rocked the NRM government at the time. She was actually seen by many Ugandans as an anti-corruption crusader. Many corruption scandals that rocked the government during that time were exposed by Winnie, earning herself people's support and confidence. This explains why she was able to lead essential motions against powerful ministers. In fact, any attempt by government to tame Byanyima was perceived to be intended to silence her. She actually became the de facto leader of opposition. Unfortunately, Madame Jackie Mbabazi and her sister Hope Mwesige do not have this Winnie's credibility. Hope's name featured prominently in the Chogan scandal and therefore cannot lead any people's struggle and win her trust and confidence among Ugandans. Mbabazi is seen as part of the stealing group. She is seen as a part of the problem and lacks the moral authority to talk about corruption. Many Ugandans see Jackie as a disgruntled woman who wants to protect their loot by installing her husband into power. In fact, the two women fit in the Kiganda proverb that a leper does not sell meat. Another important factor that the Winnie team then used was her Catholicism. Winnie Byanyima was not only a Catholic, but had strong links with its leaders. I have already enumerated this in my preceding chapters of this book. Although the Mbabazi team tried to use the Catholic Church, they failed because they were seen as foreigners. Mbabazi and his family are strong Anglicans. In fact, the church that Winnie Byanyima used was completely different from that of today. For example, it had a clear leadership structure headed by Cardinal Emmanuel Wamala. Today, there are 4 archbishops with direct links to Rome. Secondly, a Winnie's victory could benefit the entire Catholic Church, which is not the case in Mbabazi's win. In fact, Madame Mbabazi is a daughter of a prominent Anglican cleric. Therefore, the issues that brought the Mbabazi team to Kampala's Archbishop Lwanga are personal, not shared by the entire Catholic Church leadership. In fact, Lwanga was blamed for the killing of Gulu seminarians by Joseph Kony's rebels. Kony raided the 2 seminaries and none of the seminarians had ever been seen again. This was a time when Mbabazi was Minister of Defense. Lwanga blundered again when he appointed Amama Mbabazi as chairman of the organizing committee for the Pope's visit. This angered many Catholic leaders. Mbabazi arrogantly announced the Pope's visit to assert himself. However, it backfired. It should be recalled that when Lwanga lost his mother, Mbabazi's wife took charge of all the funeral preparations. Also, Lwanga's links with ENI, a company allegedly owned by the Vatican and the Italian mafias, are well known. How does he benefit the entire Catholic Church? Also, his business orientation is well established. He, Lwanga, and Reverend Father Mulumba were Cardinal Nsubuka's business blue-eyed boys. These have nothing to do with the entire Catholic Church. Furthermore, Lwanga's anti-Museveni and critical sermons alienated him from other church leaders who are not business-oriented. They were seen as an attempt by Lwanga to undermine Catholics in senior positions of government, such as Vice President Edward Chwanka II and the Inspector General of Police General Kale Kayihura. Kayihura is not only a Catholic but a Catholic priest, had to endure attacks that had to endure attacks that he is presiding over a brutal police force. This isolated Archbishop Lwanga from other church leaders who resented Mbabazi's plan to use the Catholic Church to achieve personal objectives, including his presidential ambitions. It was urged that the church be separated from the acts of an individual archbishop. It was for this reason that other Catholic Church leaders maintained close ties with President Yoweri Museveni. Mbabazi's team also tried to use Mengo. It is amazing that a senior politician like Amama Mbabazi could invest in an institution that is money-oriented and unreliable like Mengo. Those who want to deal with Mengo in this current situation should always remember the following. Number 1, Mengo is under total control of businessmen who perceive it as a money-minting organization. They sell it to the highest bidder. In fact, Katikiro Peter Maiga has outsmarted other market masters. He is skilled in raising money from the poor. Mengo's influence on the body politics of Uganda is highly exaggerated. Museveni has been defeated. Museveni has been defeating Mengo since the 1996 presidential elections, when the Lukiko stopped short of declaring Dr. Paul Semogerere as their official Buganda candidate. Mengo ministers campaigned for Simogere openly. Mengo offered its support to Besigye, but Museveni continued winning them. Mengo operates on intimidation and isolation. Such an organization cannot influence a democratic society. Mengo-backed candidates have been decisively defeated, and many of those who win are double dealers who have secret links with the government. Number 4, Mengo operated on open contradictions that have eroded its credibility among the Baganda. When the Masiro were gutted by fire, Mengo accused Museveni of being behind it. They created anti-Museveni sentiments. They also denied the fire brigade access to the palace. There were joint prayers by Uganda religious leaders who included Archbishop Lwanga, Namirembe's Bishop Luwarira, and the Kibuli-based Mufuti Kayongo to cleanse the Masiro because Museveni had gone there. When the president visited the palace, a Mengo mobilized the group, tried to prevent him, and unknown gunmen fired into the crowd, killing 10 people instantly. However, the shameless Mengo leaders who had caused the death of these innocent youth put on a devil's face and demanded money from Museveni. They demanded 300 million for allegedly financing what they called the Omumuli. They later received 2 billion for Masiro construction. How can a sensible parent demand money from a man they accused of murdering their daughter? They did not even send condolence messages to the affected families, and none of them has visited their parents. When they organized the 20th anniversary of the Kabaka's coronation, they did not invite Museveni, who had actually restored the kingdom. Instead of recognizing this historical contribution to Buganda, they invited Kenya's Raila Odinga to officiate at the function. An excited Raila left a governor's meeting in Washington, USA to honor Mengo's invitation. However, it seems he did not know that he was dealing with wolves in a sheep's skin. As soon as money changed hands, Raila was forgotten, the same way a woman forgets posho after getting a bunch of matoke from her husband. True to their prostitute character, Raila was not allowed to address the audience. They did not even mention his name. Mike Mkula, who had accompanied Raila to the venue, made frantic efforts. He went behind one of the tents and rang Katikilo Peter Maega, who switched off the phone. Furthermore, the Mengo leaders got government jobs. They also landed lucrative cases in their legal chambers where they pocketed billions of money. This explains the strong bond between the Mengo leaders Robert Kabushenga and the Mbabazi team. At one time, Kabushenga was appointed head of the Bika Soka organizing committee. I'm not opposed to his appointment, but the motive. Interestingly, he has not yet taken his assignment at Mengo. It is not therefore surprising that the Kabaka participated in a marathon run, ostensibly to raise funds for Fisitula, which was treatable free of charge in all hospitals. This was the work of the Katikiro and Robert Kabushenga. However, Omutanda endured a storm because his Katikiro was concerned with women's health. In fact, Peter Maiga is more a Mwoza Wobutali market master than Katikiro. Buganda Land Board has outmatched past notorious organizations like Aminzi State Research Operatives and Obote's NASA. They demand exorbitant fees from the poor tenants. They are facing stronger resistance. Therefore, any politician who links himself with Mengo undermines his political career. Mengo does not give you any support, but they take even the little you already have. Like in the Catholic Church, where Winnie's support went beyond a single bishop, even in Mengo, her relationship was not based on an individual. It was urged that Dr. Kiza Besigye was a brother-in-law of the Kabaka, and this meant he would give Buganda a biafe. The Mbaba's Mengo alliance was based on the opportunistic young ministers who themselves suffer from a credibility problem. Many are not even known outside Bulange. Another sharp difference was the way Winnie fought the battle. She did not expose her real intentions. She never attacked the president directly, but concentrated on the corrupt ministers and NRM bigwigs. She never enlisted a single member of the family as the Mbabazis have done. In fact, by the time Winnie started her crusade, Dr. Besigye had not declared his presidential intentions. The biggest mistake committed by the Mbabazi team was to use organized groups like churches. There are always competing interests while dealing with one group within the opposing group. It alerts the opponent. Secondly, organized groups are always under the microscopes of the government. Governments the world over take stricter attention on such groups because they are potential trouble brewers. The church leaders recruited to fight Museveni therefore could not hide these real intentions. They, for example, through their sermons demanded that Museveni should reveal his retirement plans and name a successor. However, a secret cell cannot operate in such a militant manner. Organizations like the Kampala-based Traders Kasita staged strikes and only ended them after meeting some particular people to prove that they knew the people's problems better than the president. Those who are familiar with Kenyan politics remember Moi's cousin Mark, too popularly known as Dr. Dawa, who used to create troubles for Moi in order to solve them. Moi later dealt with him and he lost the political clout. The most successful strategy by the Mbabazi team was using youth groups. Many of these younger ones are conmen, unemployed, poor, and disgruntled. This worked well to an extent because security could not easily detect them. However, since they do not have strong political ambitions, their commitment to the cause is not strong. They do not see strong reasons for sacrificing in face of short-term benefits. They do not have an ideological difference with the president apart from being incited against him. Once they realized that they were being used, they returned to the president with a wealth of information against Mbabazi's team. With such valuable information in the president's hands, establishing another network will be very difficult, if not impossible, for Amama Mbabazi. Finally, Mbabazi's explanation that it was his wife who was behind his presidential bid was not convincing. How could she do it without his consent? Though this explanation works for some cases, it cannot apply to a presidential bid. For example, a wife can force a husband to leave an unpaying or risky job. She can force a man to leave a particular area of residence or to change friends. However, when it comes to the presidency, it does not work. Why? The woman will not be president, and therefore the question is, who will be president, the wife or Mbabazi? People do not want to be ruled by proxy. This means that Jackie could not drag a reluctant Mbabazi into the presidential bid. That was undermining the man. Another weak argument was his insistence that he was free to harbor presidential ambitions. This was a bit politically naive and unconvincing. This argument overlooked two important factors. Number one, Mbabazi was an aide of the president who must support him at all times. Museveni won his 5-year term and had to implement his manifesto. Therefore, those he appointed must support his manifesto. This means that all presidential aides must assist the president to deliver. Also, this requires total commitment to the president. Therefore, the argument overlooks these important factors. When a best man develops ambitions for the bride, he obviously cannot play his role because he is a rival, not an aide of the bridegroom. Evidence which the youth surrendered to the president prove this fact. This is not a coalition government shared between the president and Amama Mbabazi. Mbabazi did not join the government under a coalition. Thirdly, there is a big difference between being independent and having differing views with the president over national matters. In this case, the opposing or differing person wants to improve not with inferior motives. However, a person with ambitions to replace his boss has already expressed a no confidence vote in his boss and has lost confidence. This leads to sabotage and undermining the boss. This is why we have been hearing arguments that government belongs to the president alone, as if the vice and prime ministers are not part of government decisions. Therefore, attempts by the Mbabazi team to intimidate the president fell flat. All those who have attempted to intimidate or blackmail him have failed. For example, when Dr. Kiseka got wind of his sacking, he resorted to blackmail and, as Minister of Internal Affairs, allowed federal agitators to organize demonstrations as opposed to an earlier official position not to allow them. Dr. Kiseka defied presidential directives not to travel to South Africa. He was sacked while there. He boarded a taxi from Entebbe Airport because nobody, including his newly acquired federal allies, went to receive him. On his return from self-imposed exile, Dr. Kizza Besigye overestimated himself. He defied the police directives, thinking that a confrontation with the police would precipitate a riot, which did not materialize. He cracked a joke and laughed alone. When he was arrested, the president was informed that the courts were suggesting that Besigye's case be heard at Nakawa, that it could cause riots in the city. Museveni insisted that Dr. Besigye be taken to Kampala High Court. It is amazing that Mbabazi, who knows these facts, allowed people linked to him to demonstrate in Kampala when earlier attempts had failed. First of all, what type of people were these? The usual unemployed youth. What was the reaction of the people? In many cases, the people who do not want any incident that affect workplaces picked up sticks to chase away Mbabazi's supporters. At one incident in Wandegea, taxi drivers helped the police to round them up. Those exposed Mbabazi's popularity rating. It demonstrated that he was a paper tiger. The final blunder was the Nambole incident. First of all, there was a foreign team. Secondly, they distributed the printed posters which had nothing to do with the game. This exposed Mbabazi's father. This incident meant that he can use any government function to advance his presidential ambitions. He turned President Museveni into a victim. No president could allow this, and this is Museveni's strongest weapon. He allowed his opponents to embark on a self-destruction mission, a trick he normally applies to destroy his political enemies. Those who will analyze Mbabazi's downfall will agree with me on the following. Mbabazi celebrated victory too early and ignored the succession rules. Succession politics dictates that there is no challenging period in like graduating from a crown prince to a king. It is like the period between pregnancy and delivery. Many women lose their lives between this short period. History is full of examples. British Prince Charles has remained a crown prince for decades and is unlikely to become king. Whereas in Spain, the king abdicated, the British queen has refused to do so to pave way for Charles. During the wrangles that forced out Margaret Thatcher as British Prime Minister, Sir Howe was their apparent, but Thatcher preferred John Major, who did his O-level studies by correspondence and imposed a ban on accessing his academic papers. The late King Hussein of Jordan, when he was found by American doctors with prostate cancer, he piloted his plane to Amman, sacked his long-time crown prince brother and replaced him with his half-British son. The mother is a Briton. This is the second succession rule. The succession rule which says strong leaders are never succeeded by strong politicians. Take for example in Senegal, Senghor chose Diouf. However vibrant he had challenged Senghor since 1971, Wade came to power later.
Wade had challenged Senghor.
This is the second succession. Take for example in Senegal, it's Wade, yes, who chose Diouf. However vibrant had challenged Senghor, Wade since
Senghor was replaced by
Wade came to power later.
Diouf.
Okay. In Malawi, Bakili Muluzi, who was unknown, succeeded Ingwazi, Dr. Kamuzubanda. Yakufa Chihana, who had fought Ingwazi, Kamuzubanda was rejected by the people. In Zambia,
Kamuzubanda was replaced by Bakili Muluzi. But Yakufa Chihana had fought. I'm explaining. Powerful leaders are never succeeded
by powerful leaders.
A person who will replace himself will be laughable.
In Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda was succeeded by Frederick Chiluba, who was perceived to be a Congolese citizen. In Kenya, Daniel Arap Moi outsmarted the Kikuyu mafia to succeed the giant Jomo Kenyatta. A strong Kikuyu lobby group led by Moi Koinange failed to change the Kenyan constitution not to allow the vice to keep the presidency for 90 days at the demise of Kenyatta. The group was known as the Change of Constitution Group, CCG. Koinange kept vigil at Kenyatta's bed in Mombasa. However, the day he left for home is when Kenyatta died. By the time Koinange got information, Moi had already been declared the successor. Rule number 3. Presidents do not cede power to people who will not protect members of the first family and what they have acquired. This is an important rule. The practice now is to target members of the retired president's family. They become punching bags of the new regime because they pose a challenge to the new leaders in the future.
Rule number 1. It is the most challenging period is to graduate from being a crown prince to a king. Yes, to a king. Kizibu nnyo. Nekugamba ekyokubiri. Powerful leaders are never succeeded by powerful leaders. Nze sente zange bwombuuza olwaleero ezange ziri ku muhoozi. Ebyonna bimutwitinga ne mukola ki sibirabamu. Know your Bobby Wine. Why? Nti when you look at Uhuru Kenyatta bamukubanga mu bifaananyi balayira ng'amaaso mamyufu asula mu mwenge nga bagaatamanyi ne bakwata mwine gwa mundu gwa nkumi because of his snobbish upbringing. Look what musajja bamuyita Mayendula, Prime Minister wa India, yakuba Congress Party yasokawo bugujulati nagambye buli mubbi yenna omusoma mutemako omukono wadde siri musiraamu. He eliminated the corruption in Gujarati. Muhindu, musajja Muhindu. Nembogo yajigoba yagali bucha yembogo yajijawo yagali sawula ate nambogo. He's a Hindu extremist. But omwalo Muhindu ku train nakwata aba Hindu ne balumba ekyalo ky'abasiraamu ne batta bisatu. He was blacklisted by America and USA, America and Britain. Immediately he defeated the powerful Congress Party. Mayindula Nebaganti Mafuguli Pombe Magufuli. Pombe means beer. Pombe Eram Gadabaka Gambagam. The Pombe will get a second time. It will be voted. Erambagam. Uhuru Kenyatta will be voted byonna byaliyo abasikira abakulembeze ab'amaanyi Trump mugeragerenye ku ba Kennedy ba Roosevelt ba Truman a powerful person nti Kabila asikide mu butu seseko ku kumwendo wa Zabanga. A powerful president cannot be succeeded by an equally powerful individual. Kamuzibanda Malawi yali musajja mumpi bwati naye Kamuzibanda yali awadde order ng'okumubuuza you must stand at a distance obendinga omukwate mu ngalo. Kamuzibanda must be taller than anybody. Bakiri Muluzi yamukuba akalulu atamanyiddwa na gye yava bak engwanzi empologoma the lion. Moi tusakisidi Kenyatta Moi mukazi we Kenyatta yamugamba tabakikuyuba kujoza ennyo naye njagala tuzine endongo nzine ne mukazi wo sikwizi naawe zine ne wange tusendinge message nti bwogenda okunsikira kozi mukamu ibamuwadde sente yaga nti kikuyu nti Kenyatta awunya obukadde kati muyasikayo omukazi mukamu yakuba muyiteke mu dancing hall nagwa ku ttaka muyina akyawa abakazi timoi gwe batanga yayina provincial commissioner amukuba MP Kenyatta yamuyita ewaabwe mu Rift Valley nalaba abantu bonna natamulaba nasula katebe. When he left, he represented Kenya in 1975. When he went back as vice president, Minister of Internal Affairs, his house was raided and searched by the police. Powerful leaders are never succeeded by equally powerful leaders. The person who will succeed Museveni will be laughable. If you ask Kenyans today, nti Moi nti Kibaki kiba kitatunda mawulire Moi yali tatuza press conference Moi bazitanga roadside statement omanyi nti buli Kenyatta yakaininga nga ba minister be Gundi Nyerere nga bakuba emboko ne Kenyatta yabuuza minister what is your name nti amubanda no the new name naga I don't know it the question name no you were Mr. 10%. Kaki. Kenyatta used to kill. Kenyatta yakugamba once a minister is defeated in an election, the person who has defeated him becomes a minister. Baina ugondo no yabyogera ngono mvuka kazibwe. Mbubaina amanyi ngense batya. But are they succeeded by baina amanyi ngense batya? Bwogamba ndi mu majegano ojja kufunayo ba suicide ojja kufunayo bagundi ono dulago nyanzi ogenda kufunayo bakasire eggwanga ng'obajjawo ogenda kubajjawo because the army nti nogandi muhozi musajja ali taine ye kamanda w'amagye nti mbaddi olaba mwogerako nomwogerako. Have you seen him making headlines? Buli wamu ndi Sale Kazini Gundi Katumba Wamala abo bamekamanda abo Nyakayirima Giants akutte ne Gundi geze Congo mundu ziri awo Iron Fist ani ogenda kuddayo balabeko kati
Tamale katukome wantu geze mbudu
walozagenda kuddayo balabeko nti ffe tujja kuva mu mawulire walibeerawo abatwenkana nti mu parliament ya Uganda banda yogera mu mazima. Do you believe nti we shall have a speaker with the crowd of Kadaga nti olanyekani bikamu mpita Kadaga tikisoboka.
Okay, katukome.
Powerful leaders are never succeeded by equally powerful leaders. That's a very strong principle in politics.